Now let's learn about some of the other major job attitudes that are of interest to organizational psychologists. Employee engagement, for example, goes beyond just job satisfaction. It also includes involvement and enthusiasm for the job. Highly engaged employees tend to have a passion for their work and feel a deep connection to their employer. Disengaged employees, on the other hand, have essentially checked out. They put time in, but not a lot of energy or attention goes into completing their work. Engagement is a real concern for most organizations because organizational surveys suggest that less than a third of people are highly engaged in their work. Engagement may be the variable that all of the other attitudes have in common. It is broad enough to cover job satisfaction, involvement, enthusiasm, and commitment to some degree. I want you to think for a moment about what it means for you to be highly engaged in your job or your classwork. On the slide, I have an example of some of the questions that we might use to measure engagement. Again, people would respond on a scale from 0 to 4, 0 being strongly disagree and 4 being strongly agree. I am highly engaged in this job. Sometimes I'm so into my job that I lose track of time. This job is all-consuming. I'm totally into it. Another attitude is job involvement. This attempts to measure the degree of psychological identification with the job. We might ask questions like, to me, my job is only a small part of who I am. Most of my interests are centered around my job. I am very much involved in my job role. Remember, too, that involvement can be captured through engagement surveys. But if we are interested specifically in job involvement, then we might create a separate questionnaire to measure it. Related to this is psychological empowerment, the degree to which employees believe they influence their own work environment, including the meaningfulness of their job and their perceived autonomy. High levels of empowerment mean people feel like they are in control of their work. Low levels of empowerment mean they think they don't have much control. To measure empowerment, we might ask questions like this. I have significant autonomy in determining how I do my job. The work I do is meaningful. My impact on what happens in my department is large. As you can see, all of these questions are trying to determine how much control people perceive in their role. Another important job attitude is organizational commitment, which is the identification with a particular organization and its goals, and the desire to remain a member of that organization. Identification and desire to remain are two important aspects of commitment. People who are highly committed to the organization tend to be less likely to quit, show up late, be absent from work, even when they are not satisfied with their jobs. Because organizational commitment provides a buffer, they have a sense of loyalty to their organizations, and no matter what is going on with them on a personal level, they stay with the organization. Here are a few questions we could ask if we were to measure organizational commitment. This organization has a great deal of personal meaning for me. Staying with my organization is a matter of necessity as much as desire. I would be very happy to spend the rest of my career with this organization. So you can see we're trying to get a sense of how likely people are to stay with the organization. The final job attitude that I'd like to mention is perceived organizational support, or POS for short. Perceived organizational support is the degree to which people believe their employer values them, their contribution, and their well-being. When people have high levels of POS, they think and feel like their organization is going to be there for them, support them, take care of them, do the right thing. When people have low levels of POS, they don't expect their organization to help them out or care about how they are doing. People don't want to take care of an organization that isn't going to take care of them. One of the best ways to influence perceptions of support is to bring people in to the decision-making processes. Empower people, get them engaged and involved in the work, and they tend to feel like the organization cares more about them. Some of the questions that we might ask if we were to measure perceptions of support include: the organization really cares about my well-being. The organization values my contribution to its well-being. Help is available from the organization when I have a problem. We could also ask similar questions about people's supervisors. How much support do they perceive from their supervisors?